Hello, I'm Kathy Kinney, and this is my friend.
Cindy Ratzlaff.
And what we were talking about was creativity. In the last probably 10 years, um, Cindy and I, we live on opposite sides of the United States, and we look for excuses to get together because we enjoy our friendship and we enjoy traveling together. And so sometimes when we get together, the plan is centered around creativity. And I think that Cindy used to be a little uncomfortable when I'd drag her into one of these, let's make these right now situations, because I was an only child and in fact still am. And I was that kid that was always going, "Oh, now what can I do? Now what can I do?" And I just, you know, I would take a handful of dirt and I'd glue it to a piece of paper and I put some glitter on it. And it was like that was fantastic. So sometimes Cindy and I, we have a friend who rents a chateau in France, and she'll bring a different artist, and we'll go and we'll stay there for a week, and we'll glue things on paper and we'll sew things down. And we never finish the project,
You don't.
but we have a good time.
Yeah.
And Cindy, I mean, don't you think that you've changed since you've been doing that?
Oh yeah. I mean, if the joy of that weekly work, that week-long workshop is that you can't be an expert in what this teacher is teaching. It's like collage work with mixed media usually and fabric art and things like that. And you're never going to be an expert in that. So you can't do it wrong. And that's what I learned from it, is that you can't do it wrong. The only way you could do it wrong is if you go, I'm not going to try. And
Yeah.
so the wonder of it is they have all these amazing supplies all laid out, and you're like a kid in a candy shop. You get to pick and choose what you want to do, and try out the technique that the teacher's teaching you. And oh, we've gone twice to this, and we're going again next summer. And one of the things I learned from this is the letting go of self-judgment, which might be a lifelong lesson for me, frankly. But I've come so far because of these workshops of just letting go of self-judgment and just trying to enjoy the act of creating without anything attached to what's the end result going to be. And because we frequently don't finish our projects, it doesn't matter what the end result is. The act of creating was the point. And I just love that.
It's so interesting, this self-judgment thing. We have a every Thursday for the last 5 or 6 years, we do a Thursday check-in, and we call it our Thursday family. There's some of the same women have been following us since the very beginning. It's a very warm, comfortable place to be, and we give away things like watercolor
Yeah.
kits and other kind of art kits. And we always hear the same thing. Someone always says, "Oh, I really want a watercolor. I'm just afraid." And like, what? That someone's going to smack you in the head if you use, you know, green to make the rose and
Yes.
red to paint the leaves. I mean, where does that judgment come from? Because we didn't have it when we were kids.
Yeah.
Our background's improvisation, improvisational comedy, keep your fingers crossed with the comedy part. But when you were a little kid sitting with a pail of sand, making a cake or a pie or whatever you were doing, no one judged you and said,
Oh,
"That's just a bucket of sand, you idiot."
yeah.
You know, and because you were making it into whatever you wanted. And somewhere along the line, we add that judgment and then we don't let go of it. And when Cindy was telling me that she'd gone to a party in the neighborhood where they did paintings. Oh, show your painting.
I'll show my painting. So I went to one of
And
those things where they provide a canvas and they provide the paints and everything. And they provide even a picture of what it is that we're all going to try to paint. And yet, of the 20 women in the room, every single picture was different. And I really enjoyed myself. And I was telling Kathy that one of the things that was so interesting about the party was to watch the other women doing the same picture I'm doing And some of them were really into it and they were really enjoying themselves. And some of them were judging themselves and thought that everybody else did a better job than them. And they were actually taking their own joy in the moment down. They couldn't access it because they were comparing themselves to other people so much. And yet, when I walked around the room and looked at every single one of these pictures, every single different one, they all had a different charm. Every one of them was charming with a different perspective and really enjoyable to look at. So, my growth is that I was able to paint that picture, know that it really didn't look like the picture that the teacher showed us. It looked sort of like it. It was reminiscent of it. And I was able to take pleasure in the creating and enjoy it. And then when I got home, I thought to myself, I kind of like that picture. I think I did a pretty good job. So I went to Shutterfly and I made Christmas cards with
I
my
love.
little painting. And I can't tell you how giddy I was about my little creation and then turning my little creation into something else creative that I'm going to send out in the mail. And Kathy has known me for a long time. She knows this is growth. I'm somebody who I really fight. I don't want to be embarrassed. Sometimes I don't want to try something new because I don't want people to see me struggle to learn. And so I think that these workshops that we go to in France and the things that we do in our Thursday family on our Facebook Lives all kind of culminated in me being able to make these little Christmas cards.
I couldn't think of a better example of how just a little bit of practice can make your life better.
Yeah.
And, I mean, this, what Cindy and I have been about for the last 10, 15 years is giving ourselves and anyone that touches our lives permission to lead a creative life.
Yes.
Not everybody's going to be given the opportunity to watercolor or glue sand to paper with glitter or whatever it is you want to do. But, I took up sewing during the
Yep.
pandemic and I've become a bag maker. I don't sew clothes, I just sew bags. And but in using that creativity, it's just revved me up. It's given me more energy than 2 cups of, you know, coffee.
Yeah.
I I'm so riding the wave of my own power simply from teaching myself to sew on YouTube
Yeah.
and saying, okay, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I've gotten better and better and better and better and better at it. But it's freed me up to just lead the most creative life that I can lead because we're all more alike than different.
We
But
truly.
just like each one of those paintings at the gathering that Cindy went to was just like the teachers, but a little bit different. We're all like that. We're all like that. We're a unique piece of art. We're perfect just the way we are. There was no average painting really in that room. And just like there's no average zipper bag that I make. They're unique. They're one of a kind and they're to be celebrated.
Yeah.
We're to be celebrated. You're to be celebrated. So
And
celebrate.
I was just saying
Celebrate.
that's if you get nothing else out of this video, that's what we want you to know. No stab at creativity, no attempt at doing something a little bit off and quirky and funny is ever wasted. It's never a waste of time to put pen to paper, to tear up little bits of paper and glue them onto a piece of another piece of paper, to stitch something onto another piece of cloth. Whatever it is that you do, taking one thing and making another, that little creative flair, it's never, ever a waste of time.
And maybe if you're lucky, you'll get a chance like Cindy to see how far she'd come in letting go of that self-judgment. So if it's write in a diary or write a story, sing a song, teach yourself how to play the guitar, or just creatively switch the channels on the TV, just do it. Give yourself permission to love yourself and be creative. Yep. and let us know how it goes.